This is Jeff from Coin Laundry Racing Service, Speed Unlock team. And today we're going to talk about tires and wheels, but mostly tires and tire marking. This is one of the Michelin racing slicks that we run on our Audi RS3 touring cars. And this is going to demonstrate exactly what we do and what you should do for your track day. Okay, so first off, we have 3 items we're going to use. One is metal ducting tape. Now it's not metal, it's not the cheap duct tape. This is actually metal tape that they really seal ducts with. That's going to be kind of tool number 1. Number 2 is an oil-based paint pen. We use yellow. There's a bunch of different colors. Some teams use pink, but we use yellow. And then it's going to be white actual tire marking crayons. Those are the 3 items that we're going to use that are all cheap. You can get them on Amazon like I did. Okay, so the first thing that you would do, now on the race car, we use the oil-based paint pen, which really works really well. You can rub it off with acetone on a rag. A lot of times we leave it on, so we don't really do that. But to use the white crayons, these are easier. You can wipe these off with something like Spray 9 or some other cleaner. But either one would work well for your case on your street car. All right, so on this tire, obviously I've already marked this as the left front, and in our case, it's set number 3 of tires. And that corresponds to all of our tire data that we take every time that we go to the track, so we know exactly what tire has gone through how many cycles and the pressure. So everything is in the notebook for later reference. And I'm just going to start from scratch here and show you how easy it is to take off the actual marking from the oil-based. Comes off extremely easy. Now, if I were to use the crayon, the white crayon, you know, the visibility is still really good. So I just like to use just the acetone to take whatever off. It comes off pretty easy. You don't have to rub that hard. So there we are. All right, so I'm going to stick with the paint pen because that's exactly what we use. So again, this was the left front, and it's kind of hard to do like this, but set 3. And you probably won't have a set. You might, but if you do, you're gonna want to mark which set it actually is. And then besides that, another mark you want to make is you want to make a mark from the tire itself down onto the rim, which seems like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Okay, so the reason you're going to want to do that is if this tire is moving on this rim, you'll see the marks are no longer aligned. But what will really happen is it will now throw your wheel balance off because the tire will no longer be exactly indexed to the rim, how it was originally balanced. What you're going to want to do before you hit the track on your first session is you're going to take all your tire pressures, and we're going to get into tire pressure gauges in probably the next video because that's a big area of concern I see as well at the track. But so you're going to take your tire pressures and you're going to mark it on the tire. So that way you know which tire you started with which pressure. You could still write it down in a notebook, but at least minimum, you actually know where you started. Now on these Michelins on our Audi, we run different tire pressures front and the back because it's a front wheel drive car. So the rear tire pressures will actually be higher than the front starting point. And what we normally would run on an average day with average track temperature around high 70s is going to be on the front 24 PSI. So since it's the left front, you know, I would actually mark this, let's see here. We'd actually mark, let's just go over here, 24. You could just leave it at 24, or if you can't remember, use 24 PSI. So you go around and do every wheel exactly like that. Now you know exactly what your starting point is. Okay, so after your first session, what you're going to want to do, like it's kind of messy here. It's kind of difficult for me to do everything I want when I'm trying to do it sideways. You're going to mark, okay, so it's 24 hot. As soon as you come in, immediately jump out of your car and grab your tire pressure gauge and check all 4 tires. Grab the crayon and mark it. Okay, so say this one's 24. Normally what we're looking for with that average track temperature of high 70s is 29 PSI. So we could write here 29 hot. So that's going to be your target pressure. So one thing I've actually got asked a lot at the track is, what should I set my tire pressures to? Well, you can go online and you can find the manufacturer's charts. Some are better than others. I was just looking at Pirelli the other day. They'll give you your starting cold pressure and they'll give you a maximum hot pressure. So after your first session, we know this because we've done a lot of testing. Say it was 31 hot instead of 29. We would bump it down now to 29. The tire's still hot, so we're going to be still right in that area. But again, you can just keep marking that on the tire if you're not sure. Maybe if something else you don't need anymore, just erase that and put in the new numbers. But you basically want to have your starting pressures, which in this case is 24, and your hot pressure that you're looking for, 29, or what the actual pressure is. I mean, I'm just saying because ours is 29, and that's what I'm shooting for. So concerning the tire pressures, we're going to do another video on that. But if you have any questions regarding that, anything specific with the marking, just make sure you can drop a comment. Just let us know, and I'll get back to you on exactly on that with some inside information. Okay, now here's another kind of fun fact. Some teams do this, some teams don't. Again, if it's your track day car, you're not going to do this. But what we would do, the tire guys would do before a pit stop, or just make sure everything is properly marked, is they would actually take this tire. And so it's very obvious to the tire changes that it's the left front. So we would actually, okay, it's the left front. They would they would do this. So you know that it's a left front, because sometimes when you're hustling to get everything ready and you're going to do a pit stop, having that big giant mark on there is actually much easier to see than the little mark on the side. One thing, it's not exactly tire related, more wheel, but I kind of feel it's the same group of issues right now, is the wheel weights. One thing I've seen a lot at the track, and unfortunately I've even seen some pro teams do this, is the wheel weights. Now, you're not going to have the old school hammer on rim type of wheel weights. You're going to, almost everybody now is using stick on. Well, what happens when you start throwing your car around harder than what you're doing on the street? There's a high probability that wheel weight is going to fly off, and now you're back to the out of balance wheel. So what the teams do, pro teams do, is you clean it very well in the first place, and you actually use that metal duct tape and you tape over the wheel weights. This will not come off. This is just the best thing to do. Even safety wise, you don't have wheel weights flying off into somebody's into somebody's windshield, but you always tape over the wheel weights. So if you haven't done that, that's like a number one thing to do on your car, is even if it's on the front of the wheel, even if it, maybe it's somewhere up in here, it doesn't matter. You're not going for looks. You actually want to make sure that wheel weight stays where it was balanced up with the tire and wheel together. Okay, so just to go over these points again, you're going to mark down the position of where that wheel was running, left front, right front, and so on. If you have multiple sets, even if it's just 2 sets, you're going to put down set 1 or set 2. You can also put S1 or S2, doesn't matter. You're going to put an indicator line from the rim to the tire, and that will tell you if your tire is moving on your rim at all, if your balance is out. And you're going to mark your starting cold pressures and your target hot pressure. And like I said, those you may or may not, depending how the day goes, change that, but you want to keep that updated for each session. So when you drop or add air to the tire, you know what range you need to be in, so you can instantly check it with your tire pressure gauge. And then the last thing is back to the wheel weights. Tape your wheel weights with the metal tape that you can buy at Ace Hardware, wherever, it doesn't matter. It has to be the metal style to make sure your weights are not going to fly off your wheels. All right, so that's it for marking your tires and taping up your wheel weights. If you found any of that useful to you, make sure you subscribe and like us. And I said again, just drop a comment if you want to know more. The next video is going to be on tire pressure gauges. This really bothers me. I can't tell you how much this bothers me. You're going to kind of be amazed at the tire pressure gauges, because people think you just go and get a gauge and, oh yeah, it's accurate and it's going to work. No, it doesn't work like that. So again, it's going to be more accuracy on getting the most out of your track day.